us.
That's perfect. So, hello everyone. Welcome to the Enhancing Rotary's Public Image webinar. Today, we're going to have a panel discussion with Rotary members and Rotary International staff about successful promotion campaigns and also present the resources available for completing campaigns for those who are interested and inspired, I hope, at the end of our session by the success stories from the field. In our previous experience, we used PowerPoint presentations or just gave speeches on how to do things, but today we decided to take a very different route. We invited Rotary members who actually did it. We all want to learn from their experience, their mistakes, and most of all, their successes. Today, we will have less theory and a lot of practical, right from the field information from past RPIC that I had a great pleasure to work with directly, Michelle O'Brien, Executive Director at Ketchikan, Alaska Chamber of Commerce, who has a 27-year career in media, radio, and television. Also, Bill McElroy from Seattle, Washington, a portfolio manager at Guardian Plus, a company he founded in 1990. Bill also is a longtime dedicated Rotary member and a member of the Public Image Committee. And also, I'd love to welcome Hunter Byington from Naperville, Illinois, the founder at Closer Consulting, a focused sales and marketing company, and a social media volunteer leader of Rotary International's District 6450. Today, we have an amazing opportunity not just to hear about successful Rotary promo campaigns they conducted, but also ask the direct questions and learn from their experience. In this virtual room, we also have our amazing Rotary International staff, and I would love to start by welcoming Nancy Davidson, Marketing Manager at Rotary International. Welcome, Nancy.
Thank you, Nina. And speaking of amazing Rotary staff, I'd like to welcome Nina Hajala, who is our RPIC specialist and our master of ceremonies and moderator. So thank you, Nina, for guiding us through this webinar. And I want to welcome everyone. I'm so glad to be part of this webinar, not only because it focuses on public image, which is what our department does, and it's very, very important to me, but the webinar includes real world examples from people like you. So that's really exciting.
Nancy, I know that we have a lot of questions. What is Rotary's public image?
Well, it depends on who you ask. If you ask a Rotary member, we would have very high awareness of Rotary. The public image would be very high, but the kicker is that it's not what we think about ourselves, it's what other people think of us. That is what our public image is. So while we know from research that many people recognize the Rotary name, sometimes the logo, the vast majority don't understand who we are or what we do, and that's a problem.
And while we're talking about public image, we also use people of action. What is that? How do we use it?
Yes, people of action. Well, first of all, what it's not just a slogan. It's not just a campaign, but it's really how we position ourselves, particularly to those people who don't know us. And there's a number of those people out there. We want to present ourselves as people who identify problems, who work together to find solutions and take action to make a difference in our communities and around the world. That's really the framework of people of action. That's how we want to tell our stories.
And while we're talking about Rotary members, I know that in many cases we refer to them as brand ambassadors. Why is that? And what is brand ambassador? Why do we want Rotary members to care about people of action, care about public image, and actually bring that brand awareness to the world?
Well, because we at RI, as much as we would like to, we do not have an enormous budget to raise the public awareness of Rotary around the world. But what we do have is 1.4 million Rotary and Rotaract members, and they are the best brand ambassadors because they speak from experience. So if we could leverage all of those foot soldiers, we would not have a public image problem. To help promote Rotary, so at RI, what we've done is created as many tools and resources and trainings as we could to help members promote themselves and the work they do. And we have ready-made ads, and we have templates, and we have courses and videos to share on social media and to post on websites. And we also have public service announcements, which we refer to as PSAs.
Thank you so much, Nancy. And now I'm happy to introduce Amanda Goes, Account Executive Brand Marketing at Rotary International, who actually has worked closely on Rotary's PSA campaign. Amanda, for those who don't know, can you tell us a little bit about Rotary's PSA campaign? What is that?
Yeah, thanks, Dina. Just piggybacking on some of what Nancy mentioned. So there are many members of the public that have heard of Rotary, but they don't necessarily understand who we are and what we do. And so our People of Action PSA campaign started in the US in March of 2020 to help bridge that gap between awareness and understanding by showing Rotary clubs making a difference in communities around the world. Now, the thing that's a little bit different is, unlike traditional advertising where you're, paying for placements, PSAs are designed to educate and raise awareness of important issues. And they use donated ad space that's reserved for nonprofits, allowing organizations like Rotary to gain valuable media exposure free of charge. And so we've used a variety of print and radio and video assets that we've leveraged for the campaign. And unlike traditional paid media, we don't know when an ad will run, where it will run, the time it will run. But it is a wonderful opportunity to highlight the impact that Rotary makes while building awareness of Rotary.
And what are the results up to date? Do we have any numbers? How did that work?
Oh, yeah. So since March of 2020, our campaign has generated over $11 million in donated media value in cities all across the US. We've generated over 726 million impressions across radio and video broadcast as well as print. And so it's just so awesome to see how much our message is being shared with the public and inspiring the public to want to know a little bit more about Rotary and that impact that we make.
Wow, that's amazing. And you also mentioned previously that the PSA campaign leverages a variety of assets. Are there any new ones that we and Rotary members should know about and use, maybe?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, in the fall, we completed a new 30-second video asset called We Are Rotary, and I'd love to show it to you right now. It's available for US broadcast, and there are digital versions that can be used on social media and web pages and in paid media. The English version's available on the Brand Center now, with language versions subtitled available in the next couple weeks to come. Later in the discussion, we'll touch more about how you can access those assets. But for now, let's get to the fun part. So without further ado, let me share the latest video, We Are Rotary, and I hope you enjoy it. And it'll just take me 1 second to pull it up. Okay, can everybody see the screen? No?
Not yet.
All right.
Just while Amanda's doing that, I'll just shout out to everyone that when videos are played like this, there may be a little bit of kind of herky-jerky, but that's just because we're all streaming this.
Yeah, thanks, Jeannie. Beat me to the punch, but that is so true. So I'll cue it up here and hopefully everybody can see and hear.
When people ask us who we are, we tell them we're problem solvers, opportunity creators, and change makers. We are Rotary. Around the world, our network of 1.4 million neighbors, friends, and leaders volunteer their skills and resources to solve issues and address community needs. Take action with us. Find out more at rotary.org/action.
Yay, Great video. Thank you for sharing. And I want to say that we are going to see a few more videos during our webinar today. And now I would like to go and talk to the panelists in our virtual room. So in this business, like most others, there is power in our connections. Although our agency that we worked with has reached out to PSA managers and station managers to let them know about Rotary's PSA campaign, keeping it top of mind for them helps ensure they think of Rotary ads when they are looking to fill in their unsold airtime that Amanda was mentioning. Let's hear from Michelle O'Brien, who is as the manager for sales operations at the Ketchikan Radio Center. And she's kind of on the other side of the business, kind of both sides of the business. So it would be really great to hear from her experience. So Michelle, very welcome to our room.
Thank you so much. And it's so awesome to see everyone here. And I'm looking in the chat, and actually, so I've been a Rotarian since I've been 28 years old. And my first club was in Watertown, New York. I saw some people in upstate New York on here. And then my next club was in Portsmouth, Virginia. I saw some Virginia people. And then Tallahassee, Florida, before I landed in the quote unquote Key West of Alaska called Ketchikan. You've taken a cruise, you might have been to Ketchikan. So happy to be here. And yeah, Nina, I mean, I was the station manager. I had Rotarians coming in the door. You let me know what they should know.
Well, I guess I would like to ask about mistakes right away. So what are some of the biggest mistakes you can make when approaching a station or any other media outlet in your area about running PSA?
So we had so many people walk in the station, and I used to be on TV too, but so they would walk in the station, and you know, we're all passionate about Rotary. That goes without saying, right? But they would say, hey, Rotary is really important, and you should run my public service announcement or my ad about my event. And it should be at prime time at 5 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning when people are driving to work or listening when they're getting ready or whatever that may be. Well, it doesn't work that way. So I would urge you to think about when you're talking with the station manager, you're not going to get those prime times necessarily because they have a business to run and they want to sell those slots. So what you should be focusing on is getting what we call run of station. And run of station is a 24/7, 24-hour kind of streaming of the commercials. And so think about volume. When you're approaching the station manager, don't ask for a specific time, ask for a bunch because they all have slots to fill, especially after COVID, because in many cases, sales have been down. Now, you don't need to bring that to their attention, but you want to get a lot of volume, and that frequency, that repeated message is what people are going to respond to. Also, you want to bring value to the station manager. So what's in it for them? We all think about that, right? What's in it for me? So the station manager is thinking, wow, what am I going to get out of this? Well, he's going to get, or she will get, a couple of different things. They're going to get that community service feeling that makes their viewers and listeners feel really, really good. And you might want to offer the opportunity, could be a new member too, for that station or their account executive person to visit your Rotary Club and talk about their station and network with people, because we all know Rotarians are generally business conscious people. So this could be a win-win for them. And the last thing is you want to make sure, and we'll talk about this later, that you have good ad copy, because they're all looking for relevant content. You know, you just don't want to have them wah stuff that their listeners are going to immediately change the channel.
Well, when it comes to the ad itself, what are stations looking for? I mean, lengths, maybe some content, can you give some hints about
Those
So
things.
everyone wants to say a lot, right? We have
2
a lot
minutes.
we have a lot to say about. No, this is not an infomercial, people. This is not going to happen. Keep it 30 seconds or less. Make it exciting. Make it engaging. And then what you want to do is you might want to offer the station a tagline. This ad was sponsored by, in my case, the Ketchikan Radio Center. We have actually a Rotarian in the Juneau, Alaska area. They have 5 radio stations, and annually they donate over $60,000 in ads so that that club up there makes $60,000 on their annual duck race. And they're happy to do it because they're getting that community goodwill. So maybe offer them a tagline. The other kind of secret that you might want to do if you have a relationship with those station folks is ask them to have their on-air personalities do live mentions. Because I remember being on air myself, and you're kind of searching like, I've got 5 breaks an hour and I've got to talk about something. Well, give me something interesting to talk about. So give them a few taglines and they'll gladly talk about Rotary or your next event.
Well, I'm happy that our content is pretty high quality. So I'm thinking that radio stations and TV stations are looking for that type of content, at least. I have another question for you, Michelle. Do you have an additional advice to share?
Well, the other thing that I would mention is do not forget about your public radio stations and television stations. I served on the Alaska Broadcasting Commission for a number of years, and part of the mission, part of what they're required to do is to advertise and air ads from 501c3s and nonprofits. So they're actually required to do that. So that's your low-hanging fruit, if you will. Go to those folks first. And generally speaking, the folks that are tuned into those public radio and TV stations are very, very passionate about watching them. You get a lot more listening time and viewing time out of those stations. So typically your viewer or listener will spend, I'm going to make this up, but say an hour and a half or 2 hours a day listening specifically to that station, where in a commercial larger market, you might have a channel flipper. I'm driving down the road listening to the radio, and I might go from the rock station to this station to that station. And so they might miss your ad. You're going to get a very captive audience on that public media station.
Great, thank you so much, Michelle. And before introducing the next speaker, I want to remind our audience that we are expecting your questions, and I know that they're coming. At the bottom of your screen, you should see the Q&A icon. Please submit your questions, general ones or specific questions for Michelle or other participants, and they will be answered during our Q&A session later. So our next story is about a successful Chicagoland PSA campaign. Several districts in Chicagoland collaborated to create a marketing campaign and paid to place ads on local television. Hunter Byington is one of the leaders for this successful project. Welcome, Hunter. My first question will be about money, because it looks like everyone is interested in that. So why did you decide to purchase media? What was your spend?
Well, the reason we decided to purchase it is much like what you just heard from Michelle, is when you're doing a PSA, that you're at their mercy. And that PSA can run at any time they have a hole in their inventory. So we wanted to have a little more control, and we were able to put together with 6450 and District 6440 a budget of about $12,000. And what did that get us? We were able to do 2 months of advertising on the local cable stations. And we were able to use the PSA, which we'll look at in a minute, but we were able to modify it for our program.
I also wanted to add that Chicagoland districts took an additional step further and collaborated to create a campaign landing page, chicagolandrotary.org. Tell us about the components of your landing page and why it was important to create that page for the campaign success, in your opinion.
Well, one of the problems with media is that you end up buying impressions, and impressions don't necessarily translate into member leads for membership. And so what we had to do is create a tag at the end of the ad, which you all will see in a minute, where we sent them to the Chicagoland Rotary.org page so that we could show them, one, who we were, and be in control of that message, and two, we demonstrated where the clubs were, which led to three, people filling out an application, not an application, but a form to let us have their name and phone number. And that generated, from a TV standpoint, we got over 5 million impressions because we ran in the morning, hitting only the news stations, and from 5 o'clock till noon. So that's part one. Where are the people that we wanted to reach? They're business people, and they don't watch too much prime time or other stations, but we can pretty much are certain that they'll look at the news. The second thing we did is we picked cable stations. So those ads that we ran from 5 to noon were on MSNBC, Fox News, and CNBC, the business channel. The third thing, though, that was exciting about that was we were able to buy the cable systems in where our clubs were. We represent over 120 clubs when you combine the two. And we were able to reach all but about 10 of the club's markets. So we were able to get what we wanted when we wanted it in January and February of last year. And we drove and generated over 100 leads that were passed along to our clubs. So we got it from impressions to real leads.
Wow, that's amazing. I guess we are ready to play the video now, right?
I hope so. Bing. I think Jean, are you doing it? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
For over 100 years, Rotary members have taken action when challenges arise. We know what people can do when they come together and put others before themselves.
Whoops.
The team lead said they
Can you
will
see it?
continue the campaign.
Nope,
You
it
pulled out.
disappeared. It started and then disappeared. So I guess we can take.
Okay, my
repeat number 2.
apologies. Should we try it again? Sorry about
Yeah.
that.
Sure.
It's all live. Things happen.
This is what television used to be.
Until it was all pre-programmed. No.
For over 100 years, Rotary members have taken action when challenges arise. We know what people can do when they come together and put others before themselves.
The team lead said they will continue the campaign to fight against the coronavirus.
Local Rotary clubs deliver food and supplies to people in need.
Strangers become friends, helping hands multiply, and problems turn into solutions. We are Rotary. We are people of action. Learn more.
Great. Thank you so much. And I guess I have the last question for Hunter. Can you share the results from your campaign?
Yeah, what you saw is, first off, just to give that some references, you'll notice we put our logo all the way through it from the beginning. So that's important because you don't know how many times people will see it, but we generated over 5 million impressions. So getting that message through, you had to put Rotary from start to finish. Number two, at the end of it, you saw we had go to the Rotary page that we had developed. I hope you all noticed that is one of the PSAs that is in the brand center. All we did is put a front, ran the logos through it, and then a billboard is what they call it at the end, so that we were able to do that. But it generated, like I said earlier, 100 plus leads, and did wonders for the various local Rotary clubs. People were coming up at the meeting and saying, what were you doing on CNN? And I think they were really pleased with it.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I want to remind that you can leave your questions for Hunter and other panelists by clicking the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen. And we are going to be having the Q&A session a little bit later. Stay with us. Now I want to introduce the third guest, Bill McElroy. Welcome, Bill. Please tell us a bit about yourself, and then we're going to talk about your campaign.
Well, thank you, Nina. Well, I've been a Rotarian since '86, and I've done a lot of hats in my Rotary career, including district governor, and I'm enjoying my most career happens to be on the PI committee. I graduated in advertising and marketing, and I slowly drifted into the financial side of my career. And what I'm really always intrigued about is trying to find a way to get the best bang for your buck, as I call it. And we've tried many different sources, and social media to me is you can really track it and see it. And I think it's something that it's really worth exploring.
So District 5030 in Washington State ran a paid digital campaign using the People of Action videos. Bill, please tell us more about this campaign. And I guess this campaign can be even more interesting for our international audience as well.
Well, one of the things we have to keep in mind in developing a campaign is who our target market is. And so we try to gear all our advertising campaigns towards our target market. And one of them is creating a need and then finding a solution. We have found that the tools that are on the brand center that are available to us, the media and the videos and the PSAs, we'll use them. And what we'll do is we'll take them and then we'll customize them, for instance, with voiceovers or different sounds. And I have an example that I'll show you. And what it does that it earmarks more, our target market is Seattle area. And people are interested, but people are kind of selfish sometimes. They're really interested in what's happening around the Seattle area. In fact, it's to the point where people are interested in their own city. A lot of times in the city right next door, which is a whole different aspect of marketing campaigns. So what I'd like to do is show the video right now, and you'll see how it was modified. We have professionals that are in every district probably has some sort of professionals that can do this. Ours was Blake Messer. He did a fantastic job. It's his voice, and this is the video that he produced for us using the tools from Rotary brand.
What is Rotary? Rotary is community leaders who exchange ideas and take action. We're not interested in gaining followers. We are finding leaders to create more leaders. See, we know leadership is a choice, and with Rotary, you can be the leader you wish you had. You may ask, what does Rotary do? We improve the lives of those in our communities, but we save the lives of people around the world. We come together to creatively solve problems while becoming family. We set aside petty differences to help others. We see diversity as a strength. We foster integrity in all things, and we put service above self, all while we have fun. Rotary is peacekeepers and game changers. We're a collective of rebels who dare to keep our promise of a polio-free world. Your pay, you ask? We pay you handsomely in goosebumps and unshakable relationships with people that you'll be proud to know as friends for the rest of your life. It's been said the two most important days in a person's life is the day that they're born and the day they find out why. The world needs Rotary, and Rotary needs you.
There we go.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So as you look at the results of this paid campaign that your district has done, what are your overall thoughts on do's and don'ts?
Well, first of all, we can't run the ad the whole time. So we run a series of different ads. This is one of our focus ads that we have been running probably for about a year and a half. We run it maybe once every 3 months. This ad we ran, and I'll just give you the stats here. We ran it the day after Christmas till January 1st. And we spent $300 over close to 4,000 people saw it. And we had 393 people go to our landing page. And so you can take a look at a micro budget and you can actually see what the results are with social media. That's what I like about social media on a financial side. If an ad's not working, you can turn it off. If the ad is working, you can keep it on a little bit longer. You can extend it. And you can actually take a look at the results almost immediately. You find out what's not working. I really like the idea of a call to action. And that is that landing page that Hunter was talking about. It's so important to have a really good landing page that people can go to, because in social media, you have a learn more button and it'll take you right to the landing page, and they're already starting the process of hopefully getting engaged somewhat. We're also finding out, that's very important, that two things are really working very well. That is events. So we've had success doing events, and we've got documented numbers on that. And we also have individual clubs do things and drive membership, and they can do a micro attack in social media just around a zip code or a 2-mile radius around their club location. And we've seen one club, for instance, the Des Moines, the Rotary Club of Des Moines in Normandy Park, they almost doubled their size on one type of campaign. And and we're still trying to duplicate that. But it's one of those things. People like to be personal, they like to be in the community, and we're finding that out. And using the brand tools that they have, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We still have all those tools available to us, but we can personalize it. And that's what we have fun at doing. And that's why the social media, and as far as the PI committee, it's one of the most enjoyable committees I've been on for years.
Wow, that's amazing. So flexibility, instant data about like how the campaign works. What are the other advantages you see in using social media? Because I would say that the majority of questions and top requests we're receiving is actually about using social media.
Well, it also allows us to coordinate. So in other words, last year, the district governor wanted to go ahead and do some advertising with the bus campaign and have some bus advertising. And to coordinate that advertising on the bus campaign, and we have at that time, we had the call to action was a text number on the bus, but we coordinate with social media, and then we coordinate that with the clubs, what are doing. And then on top of that, we coordinated with the news, the newsletter that goes out once a month. And so and then hopefully we try to do some PR releases out coordinating the whole campaign. So it's a coordinated effort that needs to be put in place. We're coordinating right now with the various months of the Rotary calendar year, the polio, the foundation and things like that. So we have an overall campaign, and then we have these micro campaigns underneath that shows that how much diversity in what Rotary actually does. And you can run 3 different ads on social media and they will never touch each other. And it's very unique.
And can you share maybe some tangible results you've seen? Lab numbers?
Well, one club, the Mill Creek Club, we did a $100 ad. And it was a tombstone ad. If tombstone ad has no video, we're finding, by the way, videos work better than just a tombstone ad, which is just like it's like a poster. But we just ran one, and the club's doing everything right. You walk in, it's got the branding, and it's got everything in place. It's got the whole Rotary experience. That club has gone from 41 members to 50 in the last 6 months. And part of that could have been from social media, because it was not a ticket event, but it was come to a lunch sometime and be doing this. So another tangible thing was we spent $100 on a Blues and Brews Festival. And that $100 we can document generated $1,000 worth of tickets. So in other words, events, micro, taking the time doing it by by club basis, I think is a really doable thing. And so the district, what we're doing at the district level is that we're going to doing kind of like what Hunter did, is that we're going to pinpoint an area, 5 or 6 clubs within an area, and 5 or 6 clubs in the north end, the south end, the east side. And then we're going to start working with them a little bit. And then we'll pinpoint some advertising from the district side, and then we'll give them the tools to put it on their Facebook account too.
Wow, that's amazing. And again, like it's such a great example of how like really low budget can bring such great amounts of leads and amounts of results.
Well, I think Man mentioned it one time, 1.4 million Rotarians.
Yeah.
We are our own people that can brand. And it's even a small budget. When we multiply this out and really do this in a coordinated effect, it's just unbelievable how it can work, Nina. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to remind that nobody needs to spend money on producing content because it's already there. So all those great videos can be found and uploaded from the Brand Center. Actually, there were some recent changes to the Brand Center. What are those changes? What are the resources available there for those who want to organize TV, radio, or digital campaigns? And the best person to ask those questions is Jean Sanders, our account executive, membership marketing at Rotary International. Welcome, Jean.
Thanks, Nina, and thanks everybody. Gosh, it's so exciting to follow such great panelists. So I'd be delighted to share some of the changes that we've recently made on the Brand Center. So I like to say, run, don't walk, and log into the Brand Center on my Rotary. So I think many of you on this call know that that's where Rotary keeps our assets for members to use to tell their stories. So we've got photos and videos and templates to create people of action, digital ads and print ads, and club materials, club video graphics like the social, it's been a long night. Graphics like the banners behind us for these kind of online meetings. So many of you have found those. And also, I'm excited to share that we are in the process of updating the templates. We've heard a lot over the years that the templates aren't the easiest to use in the world. So we've been working with an outside vendor, and coming soon, after about the middle of February, we'll be announcing the release of new templates. The templates will have the same functionality in that you'll be able to create your print ad or your people of action ad, upload your own photo, but they'll work in a slightly different way, and it'll be easier to find those buttons and those hard to find plus signs, etc. The other thing I wanted to share, and many of you may have noticed this, is that we've changed the way we serve up information about using Rotary logos and the brand elements. And rather than bury that in PDFs, we've made that available in a new web section within the Brand Center called Our Brand. So again, run, don't walk to the Brand Center and check that out.
Well, I just want to interrupt, sorry, because I also following the conversation in our chats, and I see a lot of requests for Brand Center or share the screen. I just want to say that we, all of the participants and all those who registered but maybe didn't have a chance to participate will receive the follow-up email with all the links, with all the information, with all the resources. So please don't worry that we do not share the Brand Center webpage right now, because it will take a lot of time. You'll have all the links, and I know also that Amanda just responded in our Q&A section as well. So yes, links will follow. Please watch for the emails from us after the webinar. Jean, I have another question for you. What are the resources that we should be aware of?
Well, I think the other thing that I really encourage everyone to do, if you haven't recently, is go to the Learning Center. Again, on My Rotary, if you log into your My Rotary account and navigate to the Learning Center, there's a new landing page on the Learning Center, so it's a little easier to find the courses. And now we have 5 courses relating to public image. The most recent one is public relations in your club. And we know that learning about using social media is really important. So that's something that's currently in development. We don't have a release date for that, but that's coming shortly. And then the last thing I'd say is our department, the marketing team, we put out a newsletter called Brand News about once a quarter. It's not on a strict schedule, because when we have news that we think it's important for our members to have, we send it out. And that goes out to people in roles related to promoting Rotary and enhancing strengthening our brand, but it also can go to anyone. So if you don't currently get brand news and you'd like to get it, let us know. The best way to do that, and we'll put this in the chat, is pr@rotary.org, and we'll add you to the distribution list. And if you do get it, please, please, please share that out and let us know what you think. Let us know what else we can give you, because our role is to help you tell your great stories.
Thank you so much, Jean. And I know that our webinar's interview section is coming to an end because we have plenty of questions to answer. But I would like to ask our experts, Michelle, Hunt, and Bill, to provide one 1-minute advice for our audience on how to activate promotion campaign. And let's start with Michelle.
Okay, so yep, one thing that I forgot to mention was don't forget, if you have to buy ads and you have a very small budget, and we're talking traditional media like radio and television, back into your contract, tell your rep or your manager that you have X number of dollars to spend, and then ask them to bonus you liberally, and you'll get far more bang for your buck. The other thing is ask for free web presence. There are so many people streaming on television station websites and radio station websites that they have real estate to give away, and you can have free space right there. So that would be my top 2 hints.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Hunter, top advice from you.
Well, a couple of things. One would be that you want to have a plan, and I don't just mean a plan for buying time or getting the ads on TV, but also when people come to your club. A lot of the clubs, somebody put in the question, how many leads did we generate? Well, there were about 100, and translated, we know that about 10 people joined. But what we also know is there was probably about 90 of those leads that the clubs did not have a plan for membership development. And that means starting at when they come to see you for lunch or breakfast or dinner. And secondly, how are you going to treat them? How are you going to prove to them that you are people of action? And that's going to be very key. So have a plan for not only putting the word out, but when people take advantage of it, what are you going to do to make them welcome and invite them to join?
Thank you so much, Hunter. Bill, your top advice.
My top advice is to keep it simple. I have found we've done a lot of different social media, YouTube and LinkedIn and TikTok. We've tried a host, but Facebook is really, at this time, if you're starting out brand new, Facebook is easy to use. You can zero it down. And the landing page, Hunter's talking about something that's the next step is very critical. We can take these horses and lead them to water, but we have to make them drink the water. So, and that's where it's at. If they don't have a good impression when they walk into that club and when they meet you, then guess what? The leads don't do any good. So have a good landing page or some type of plan in place on how you want to take these people off of social media and put them to the next step. And keep it simple. And you can start off, our district started, why don't we just see how it goes? We'll start off with $100. Just try it and you can see how it works. I go, okay, expand it. So we put our toes in, they put more than our foot in. And so it can be kind of a slow process, but you'll be surprised that all of a sudden you get to see some results and you go, okay, we can spend some more money now.
Great. Thank you so much, Bill. And now I'm happy to open our Q&A session. Plenty of questions are already listed. Many of you submitted questions when you registered as well. So thank you very much for that. Your questions, let us know what you'd like to hear more about. Like we had lots and lots of questions about social media, how to use logos properly and appealing to diverse audiences. I hope that the information our panelists shared already has answered some of your questions. And we're also going to use that information to plan our upcoming public image webinars. So Q&A session. Wow, a lot of questions. So let me see what is open. What is Rotary's approach to new social media platforms like TikTok and Clubhouse? Anyone wants to answer?
Well, the hardest part about the new platforms is that I haven't been able to find a way to really have the call to action. YouTube had the highest hits. YouTube, we had a number of people hit it. We saw the number of people that were just looking at our videos. Well, they're looking at the little ad at the bottom of YouTube, if you see them all the time. That call to action from the YouTube side, they're watching on their TV set or whatever, is nobody wants, they're looking at something else completely. So, and so TikTok, I haven't found a way yet. If somebody finds a way that we can get a call to action from TikTok, a lot of people look at that. You know, and so I'm still at this time, I would still need, and LinkedIn was difficult because you have to set up your own page, you have to do this, you have to do some advertising there, which is kind of a neat deal to do on the more of the professional side, but the results didn't happen for us. So I'm still at this time starting on Facebook. I know Hunter had his hand raised.
Thank you so much. I guess next question will be for Michelle. Do you have any tips on asking a station to interview a Rotarian about project they are working on?
Oh, do I? So I used to have a daily radio show for an entire hour, Monday through Friday from 11 to 12. And we're granted, we're in a small town, but I can guarantee you this is across the board everywhere, unless it's, you know, some national radio show, that they're always searching for guests. Why not start by asking the particular local talk show or local show, hey, can I grab 5 minutes on your show? Generally speaking, if you go in there and you have an engaging conversation, they're going to invite you back and they're going to give you more time, but everyone is looking for good guests.
Thank you so much. Next question. What are impressions? How are they tabulated? Who wants to answer?
I can answer that one.
Okay, thank you, Hunter.
Impressions are, it depends on the media that you're using, but every media, not every media, but almost every media is measured. So when Bill was talking about impressions for Facebook, when you buy an ad on Facebook, they project and then they count the number of impressions that you'll get on an ad. So at the end, you have a dashboard that tells you that information. When it comes to television, you've got the over the air, of course, is Nielsen ratings, but 85% of the world watches their media on cable or on the internet, and they measure that as well. And they can tell you, so that's where my number came from. It telling you about 5 million impressions was because they know in the individual markets where we place the ads for the clubs, how many people tuned in during the time frame that we were running. So I hope that helps. It's a little bit more exact than what you get from radio, which is pretty general, and you're reaching a lot of people. But that leads to something that Bill was talking about a minute ago that sorry, Nina, I wanted to circle back to. And that is, you've got to figure out who your audience is. In our case, the audience we wanted was going to be business people under 50. Now, I can't imagine why I came up with that number, but if you look at the Rotary strategic plan, we have got to grow the membership under 50. And the purchases that we made went after those prospective members in those towns. So just give you an example, and then they can tell us impressions and conversion.
Hunter, I think there are two other questions for you from Suzanne Manuel and from Joseph Kasanovich. Did the 12K Media Blitz produce new members? And the other question, Hunter, how many of the 100 leads resulted in new members? And I guess Gene Sanders wanted to add to that.
Yeah,
answer.
out of 100 leads. So first thing we have to remember is this is Rotary. So it went through the district. We handed those off to the clubs. We let them know we were coming. I heard back that at least 10 of them joined. So that is not a bad return, 10% of the leads. And what people have to remember about media is you only get about a 1% response on any media you do, whether it's newspaper, television, radio, TikTok, take your pick. It's 1%. So our looking at this was to 100 leads was really pretty exceptional, considering it was cable and you had to go to your computer to find our website. And then number two, after all that trouble, 10% or 10 turned into members.
Thank you so much. Jean, do you have anything to add?
No, sorry, Nina. I just wanted to make sure that you saw that question.
Okay, great. So next question is for Michelle. You mentioned from Barbara Barr, you mentioned we should ask the station manager for a run of something. Please give us the name again.
Run of station. Basically, do not ask for any specific times, because if you ask for the 24-hour run of station, guess what? Chances are you're going to get those prime time. But when you ask for prime time, you're not going to get it.
Thank you so much. Question from Tracy McPeck, and I guess it's for Bill. Which social media platforms did you advertise on?
Last year, for the last year and a half, we've tried YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and we tried probably a couple more, Yammer, and I'm missing one. And we just zeroed it down to Facebook. And Facebook has Instagram attached to it. And Instagram, by the way, is where the youth are looking at. They use Instagram all over the place and not Facebook. So we have two different target markets. So we actually did youth campaigns at using Instagram and did not use Facebook. It's on the same platform because they're owned by the same company. So you've got two different platforms. And we're quite happy with this, with the results right now. So, and as we expand out, we might expand out further as our experience gets more with the committee.
And there is another question, what social media works best, but I guess you answered that question, YouTube, correct?
YouTube had the highest result. If you just want to do branding and just an overall, good feel or whatever it is, it'd be great to show an event, for instance, and maybe generate some extra stuff. Yeah, you can do that with YouTube.
Another question for you, Bill. Bill's PSA sample gave a number to text to. Love that. Did they set up a special phone number specifically to handle that, or was it a member's existing phone number that could be translated into a simple numeric code? It's a question from Bob Wildflung.
Even Hunter came up with a great idea of QRC codes, and those are a lot more they're actually more trackable. The problem with the texting of the phone numbers, they can be kind of expensive. And we happen to have a professional. I mentioned Blake's name beforehand, and he has the account, and so he was awful. He said, I'll go ahead and put it up in my account, and we gave it a try. The results on the texting wasn't that impressive that I could see. So I would really weigh the idea of having that as a cost added on. The landing page and trying to find a way to get to that landing page, I think, is the biggest thing. Rotary's got their rotary.org landing page. Chicago Landing's got theirs. We're redoing ours. People are going to it. And I think that's really the key. And I would keep it simple for right now until you can expand out a little bit more. That's my biggest recommendation right now.
Next question from Jeff. We often know the things Rotary wants to talk about. We are proud of them. Do we have access to online research that tells us what our audiences want to hear about?
That sounds like a Jean question.
Oh. I think we should. That is a great question. We do have a lot of research. We're building up more. Essentially, we're so focused right now on just getting our word out because we know our understanding is so low, and we want to set the narrative. So we want people to not think of us like we know they do in some cases as, old men having lunch. We're trying to course correct that image and set up a positive one. But I really do like the question, and I'm going to take it to heart, and we're going to find out kind of what messages resonate with them. So go ahead, anybody else too?
And Nancy, I can jump in on that a little bit. Here in Evanston, the home of Rotary, we wanted to understand whether people were aware of Rotary and understood what the local clubs here do. And so we executed an awareness and understanding study. And and we got that information about awareness. And also that's a great time to ask those respondents, what do you care about? What do you see the top 10 issues facing your community? And there are lots of ways to put out questionnaires like that. Certainly a full-fledged study, or even just among your followers, you can put up a question in some of your social media channels if you can reach out to those external audiences beyond your club. And I noticed, Michelle, you want to jump in there too.
Just real quick, and I always harp on this, it's really, really important that no matter what you do, that you know your market, your target market. So what's going to work in Chicago, what's going to work in Seattle would not work in Ketchikan. What's going to work in small town Virginia or Kansas is not going to work in India. And so when you're thinking about your targets, be real cognizant of that when you are designing and placing your ads.
Unfortunately, we have to kind of close. We can stay for a little bit more to answer some additional questions if there are people who wants to stay. Jean, what would you think about it?
Well, if our panelists are okay, let's take a couple more questions. I'd hate to leave any questions on the table.
Well, and can we not also follow up with those unanswered questions after the webinar?
Oh, we will, for sure, for sure.
Okay, then let's continue and take additional, 5-10 minutes to answer the questions in Q&A. A question from Brian Portway. Great ideas here, but all need forethought and planning plus creation of content. How do you get clubs to actually think about planning? What is the magic reason for that? Hunter has just made a good point on this, but we need new reasons for the new busy people out there who want a new Rotary too. How do we plan? How do we?
Well, there's a couple of things. One is what the whole purpose of this is those PSAs that have been developed by Rotary are really good starting points. And if you go through those PSAs, you'll see different links, but you'll also see different themes. And so that's number one. Take a look at that, and to where Michelle was going, one of them's got to relate to you. Number two is that notice the theme is people of action. Here in Chicago, one of the things we're going to be doing in this coming year, or the next 12 months, is taking that people of action theme with our various clubs. Every club takes pictures. They don't, and they can do videos. Everybody's got an iPhone. They just don't think they can put them together to put together a PSA. So use the PSAs that you find in the brand center as your template, and you even use it at the beginning, but then develop your own. That's number one. It's not difficult. You can do it. You've been taking pictures for years. Number two, though, is going after the people who are under 50. It's not too hard. They're your business leaders. They're your politicians. They're your educators. They're the main leaders. Rotary is a leadership place as well. And you should be inviting those folks to come for lunch, breakfast, or dinner. And so keep that in mind. That's who you're going after. Then you're going to get your retail and your restaurants and other people that are important in the community, manufacturing. So put profiles together, go after them. And you don't have to send the whole club. 3 or 4 people, 5 people can help coordinate it and make it happen. Rotary International has put in the membership part of the brand center whole processes that you can use and adapt to what you have. So I would add all of that together. There's not one simple answer, but those 3 or 4, I hope.
Thank you so much. And I guess it will be the last question for today. A question from Julie Klein, and it's going to be for Hunter and Bill. So Chicago's cost per lead was $120 and cost per conversion new member was $1,200, correct? Comparatively, what is the cost per lead and cost per conversion for Seattle social media campaign?
Wow. That's probably one of the more difficult questions. We can see the numbers go through the social media. We can go through the landing page, and then off of that landing page, it's how do they apply to that, and then how is it going to the membership? And to be honest with you, we haven't gotten there yet. To know that end of the equation, our district, that's one of the things we're working on. We know the number of people that have hit the page, and we're not happy with the number of people not filling out the information. I think some of it had to do, I was talking to Hunter about this, that it had a lot to do because it was too general. It wasn't specific enough. It didn't tie into their passions. It didn't tie into a specific club. So we're going to be doing this. In the past, we've had success targeting an individual club. That's been documented, and also events. So, and that with events, it's documented. And we can, like I say, we spent $500 for the Rotary actors, and they saw 12,000 people saw the video, and they raised $10,000 for their auction. We had $100 for brews and beer, and they made $1,000. So we know these things work, and so to have the exact numbers, how that translate to membership, that's like pulling teeth sometimes. I think anybody from the membership committee knows that some of the clubs just don't want to report back. So it really takes somebody that really wants to go ahead and be tracking this thing. And it's something that we're struggling with ourselves. So any suggestions that anybody else has, I'm sure that we talked about at the different institutes and breakouts and things like that.
Thank you
Hunter?
so much.
I
Yeah,
think
Hunter?
Hunter had
Just one
something.
other part. The analysis that the individual put in the questions is right on target. If you remember, some people were asking earlier about research and statistics and background and analytics. Remember that you get somebody, the average time they're with a club is 2 years. So if you want to really figure out return, and on ours, this is how it worked, is like they said, it was $110, $120 per lead. Well, if it costs the club $110 to get somebody who's going to spend 4 times that over the next 2 years, I think it's worth it. And if you then start playing with the audience and your message, which is what a lot of people are asking about, they're right on target, but each message is different. That's why it says people of action. You look at your pictures, that'll tell you who your audience is in your club, and go after those people. And they are reachable.
Thank you so much for the wonderful information, for amazing questions, and we promise to do our best to answer those questions that were not answered. Please watch out for the follow-up email that we are going to send with all the link, with all the resources, and with additional information about Brand Center and all the resources available there. And please stay tuned for our next webinar.